Everybody, let's talk about some common words and phrases that we use in daily life that will not only make you sound fancy, but it will make you sound very fluent. You know, there's some words that you insert in some sentences that make you sound like a native speaker or make you sound like you're in control and you know your expressions. So these are not just the 15 words we learn every week. These are more of a conversational lesson that I'm going to deliver today, so please listen till the end of this video because all these words and phrases are going to be very useful for you. Let's talk about word number one, or phrase number one, miss out. When you miss out on something, it means you don't get to experience that, or you don't have that same opportunity again. So if I miss out on my child's wedding, it means I didn't go, and it's a lost opportunity, and it sucks. So you miss out on something which you want to go into or you want to get, and usually it's a missed opportunity. Word number two is misrule. Misrule is a word that could be really used in a very popular way these days. Misrule is the inappropriate use of power, usually by a government or a country's leadership. So nowadays you see misrule happening all over the world with governments dominating your life and restricting what you can do. So that is misrule, and in a lot of places there's corruption. That is misrule. In a lot of places there are bad policies that politicians use. That is misrule. Word number three is neck and neck, and this is one of the things that you might have heard more commonly, neck and neck. That means very competitive. So if there is someone who is in a race with you physically or not physically, let's say in business, they're in a race with you and they are competing with you when you're competing with them in, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. You guys are extremely competitive. So we can say you guys are neck and neck in your field, in your race. It means you're very close in competition, a very handy phrase that you can use. Number four is not a phrase, it's a word, expedient. So expedient, you might think it's something similar to expedite, which is make something faster, expedite. Expedient is different, okay? Expedient means something convenient that is done even if it is immoral. So if I want to, for example, tell my employees to work longer hours and I don't pay them more, I say you work longer hours, it's for your promotion, and I will reward you once you get promoted. Even though I know they're not going to get promoted, I make them work. That is a very immoral thing to do, but I'm doing it to achieve something, to get my work done, and that's why I'm making them work more. Very immoral and ethical, and I can say this is expedient. This is an expedient way to treat your employees. It could be used as an adjective or as a noun. I like to use it more like adjectives, expedient way, so it's more easy to use. Word number five is face value. Of course, you've heard of this. You must have heard of this, I can guarantee you. Very common word, and that's what today's lesson is about. But do you actually know what that means? Face value is the value of an item or a service that is perceived by the other person. So there's a famous story of I think a plumber or a labor technician, someone who came into an office and fixed a leak or fixed something in that business. Let's assume it's a leak, and it was just a 5-minute worth of work, and he charged $1,000 or $10,000 for it. So the business was asking, why did you charge us so much when you spent 5 minutes? He said that it took me 5 minutes because I have years of experience and none of your people in the office could do it. I did it. That's why I'm billing you that. So the face value, which is the value that the office saw for that service, was different. They thought it would be worth $100. The way the person working thought of it was way bigger, and he had a different face value. Similarly, when we buy gold or diamond, why is it so expensive compared to plastic? Because the face value that humans have put on those material because of the lack of availability is different. So the face value is the value that you have basically on the face of the item as it appears to be or as it should be. Number six is tell me about it. So again, a very common, you must have heard of this again. If you have even a little English exposure, you watch a few TV shows and movies, you must have heard of this. So when someone says tell me about it, it means they've had a similar experience like you had. So it's, for example, I come from a place which is always cold, right? Winnipeg, -40, we're famous for that. So if I go to Calgary and it is -35, -30 as well, and they say it's really cold, it's freezing, I'm gonna say tell me about it, because I came from a much colder place, a much worse weather. So tell me about it. Like, I know, I have experienced that. That doesn't mean, like, actually it happened. One time I told my friend, tell me about it. English wasn't his first language, and he started telling me more about something he was saying. So I didn't mean for him to describe that thing more. I was just saying that I know what you feel. So tell me about it means I know what you feel. Word number 7, or phrase number 7, is you're telling me. You're telling me. This is very similar to tell me about it. And you're telling me simply means that you are in agreement with the other person. So if I play a lot and I'm good in sports and I work out, and there's someone who does the same thing, met him the first time, and he comes and says, my hobby, my main thing is working out. And I'm like, tell me about it. Sorry, I'm like, you're telling me. And by that I mean you're telling me, it means I can relate to you. I agree with your life. I agree with your lifestyle. You work out, I work out too. So you're telling me you work out 1 hour a day. It's like I'm almost saying that I do the same thing, or I do it maybe more. So you're telling me, it means I agree with you, or I do the same thing that you do, or I can relate with you. The next thing is Pandora's box. So you might have seen that store, right? The very, very famous and expensive store, Pandora. Pandora's box has nothing to do with that, actually. It's not the box you get from the Pandora store. Pandora's box, when you open a Pandora's box, it's an expression. It means you're opening a bunch of problems all at once. So, opening a Pandora's box is like, I could say, hey, let's not go and travel now because of the restrictions everywhere. So if we get stuck, it's going to open the Pandora's box. It's going to open a Pandora's box. It simply means it's going to open a bunch of problems. Maybe we'll be restricted from coming back. We have to quarantine, do all the crazy things, right? So we don't want to open a Pandora's box nowadays by traveling, which really sucks for the hospitality industry, unfortunately. Deadbeat, number 9, is deadbeat. Deadbeat means not willing to work or lazy. So you hear about deadbeat dads. This is for some reason the most common thing that goes with deadbeat, the word dads. When you hear that in movies, it means simply a dad who is not taking care of their children, not working, and just someone who's lazy. So it's used with dads a lot for some reason, but you can use it for anyone who is lazy, doesn't want to work, has a bad work ethic, and is just, lethargic in life, doesn't do anything productive. So that person is a deadbeat or a deadbeat person. Word number 10 is a word, it's two things, but with a hyphen in between, half-wit. Half-wit people are people, and again, it's very informal, you shouldn't really say that, but half-wit people are people who are silly, not very intelligent, not very smart. I cannot use this at my workplace, it is not formal. I can use it for my friend who I am really close to, because it can be insulting. So with a close friend, I can tell him, hey, you don't know how to do this, or you haven't heard of this. You really are a half-wit. It means you're kind of stupid or silly, but try not to say that to people who you're not close with. It is a little offensive, but it is something that you will hear. Not being said to you, but you might hear people saying this to each other. Half-wit. All right, 11 is Die Hard. Die Hard is someone who is unwilling to change. I think there was a movie, Die Hard, right? So that means simply someone who is very stubborn, or someone who doesn't want to change and has a very strict set of rules in his brain. So I'm a Die Hard fan of the Winnipeg Jets. It simply means I don't like any other team, and I support this team no matter what. I'm a diehard Canadian. It means I like Canada. No matter what happens, I'm going to appreciate this country. That's what diehard means. Word number 12 is icebreaker. When you start a conversation with someone, you're the person who's starting with something. What is your name? Or the weather is really cold outside, isn't it? That's how Canadians start always. Or you start with anything. Hey, I remember I saw you that day at that place. So you are initiating the conversation, and the sentence you say, the first sentence that is spoken in the conversation, is the icebreaker. Okay, very handy word to use. I've used when I learned it. After that, I used it a lot because it's very useful. When you talk about how two people met and how someone started a conversation, you can say the icebreaker was, and the sentence that was first spoken in the conversation. Word number 13. It's actually two words, not four. Insofar as, but here insofar is one word. Insofar as. So basically it's two words. So insofar as, it means to the extent that. So if I say to the extent, make it simple, right? Let's use that first. If I say I can stay awake to the extent that I have food and water, I can stay awake for 20 hours. So if I have food and water, I'm good until 20 hours. So I can say I can stay awake up to 20 hours insofar as I have food and water. This is something you can really use in your exams for writing and speaking especially. It's very fancy. Okay, so there are times when you have to say so, okay? So instead of so, the better way to say it is to the extent that. For example, in the sentence I mentioned, and in another sentence, let's do another example. I want to help other people so that it develops this country. I want to help other people to the extent that it develops this country, or I want to help people insofar as it develops this country. All of them mean the same thing. So if you want to say so, just replace that with insofar as, or even to the extent that, but insofar as is unique. It's really uncommon, and that's why you should use it. Okay, word number 14 is a streamline. It's a verb. If you streamline the process of something, you make the process better. So if I want to streamline the lessons that we deliver, then I want to make them better. Maybe I want to do more interactive lessons. Maybe I want to use more technology. So streamlining a process is making that thing better. Word number 15, the last word is advantaged. It's with a D. So it's not the word advantage. So if you don't know advantaged, it simply means someone who is in a position of advantage. Now, if I am a rich person starting a business, I am advantaged because I have capital. I can use it, I can waste it. If I'm a person with no money starting business, I'm not advantaged because I cannot waste money. I don't have money. So that's what that means. People in competitive positions who are in a better position based on several factors are advantaged. And you might need to use this word instead of just saying that they have an advantage. You can use they are advantaged. Makes you sound more fancy. And that's what we do here. We make you sound fancy, make your vocabulary better, and make you speak and write way better than before, or way better than what other people think, or how other people write and speak. So if you like this video, and if you like more lessons like this, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you very soon. Take care.